Hello. Today's a beautiful sunny day. A little breezy, but that's fine. We are now in the 33rd Sunday, coming to the end of the liturgical year. And we start off with the first book, Daniel, chapter 12, verses 1 to 3. The book of Daniel predicts that there shall be a time unsurpassed in distress. The wise and those who lead many to justice will live shining like stars forever, but others shall be like an everlasting horror and disgrace. Then in the third reading, Mark 13, verses 24 to 32. I think that to begin to make sense of this reading, one must go to and read the whole of chapter 13 of Mark. Jesus refers to a whole number of things that will happen in the future, combining them into a sort of stew as one might be cooking over a hot fire. In Mark chapter 13, verse 2, Jesus, in roughly 33 A.D., referring to the temple, says, "There will not be one stone left upon another that will not be thrown down." In fact, the Jews rebelling against the Romans go to war against the Romans from 66 to 70 A.D., but lose. And the Romans then destroy the temple in 71 A.D. In time, Jesus says there will be many disastrous events that will occur. But for followers of Christ, these are the beginnings of labor pains. Christians will be in prison, but he says, do not worry about how to respond. Jesus says in Mark chapter 13, verse 11c, "For it will not be you who are speaking, but the Holy Spirit who speaks through you." He continues in Mark chapter 13, verse 13, "You will be hated by all because of my name, but the one who perseveres to the end will be saved." Then Jesus in Mark chapter 14, verse 14a, says, I think that's really, okay, that would really be Mark 13. I'm sure that would be. Then Jesus says in Mark 13, verse 14a, "When you see the desolating abomination standing where he should not," Jesus does not say what or who this abomination is, but perhaps it's Satan himself. "You must flee." In Mark chapter 13, verses 22 to 23, he continues, "False messiahs and false prophets will arise and perform signs and wonders in order to mislead, if that were possible, the elect. Be watchful. I have told it all to you beforehand." In the next verse, which begins our Sunday reading, Jesus says, in effect, the whole universe will disintegrate, and then they will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. And then he will send out his angels and gather his elect from the four winds, from the end of the earth to the end of the sky. In absolute contrast to his first coming as a helpless infant, Jesus now in his second coming as the mighty king calling his own, his elect, who have been loyal to him to the end, calling them up into heaven. Then Jesus seems to be at odds or variance with himself, saying at first that he does know when these things will happen, when he says, "This generation will not pass away until all things have taken place." And then saying he does not know when these things will take place, saying, but of that day or hour no one knows, neither the angels of heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. My own understanding is that when Jesus says that these things will come to pass before this generation passes away, is that each generation must always be watchful and alert. Each generation must think that the end may come before they pass away, so that each may always be watchful and alert. The term elect is that Jesus chooses those who choose him. Then in the second reading, Hebrews chapter 10, verses 11 to 14, Jesus offered one sacrifice for sins and took his seat forever at the right hand of God. Now he waits until his enemies are made his footstool. Jesus, being divine as well as human, only needed to offer one sacrifice. The Judaic priests, who were simply human, had to make many sacrifices. We join ourselves to Jesus' sacrifice. We are made perfect. He is God the Son who comes in power and glory. God bless us all as we look forward to the end time of the liturgical year and then to the beginning, Advent.